Hey guys, Nathan Brandon Masters, and we have another case of MAGA people finding out that their heroes disagree with them. If you like this kind of art commentary, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm still trying to get those first 1,000 subscribers. Feel free to pop off in the comment section. Let's jump into the video.
Superman, he's gone woke. That is the message that we're getting out of this latest MAGA meltdown. Right, and that is James Gunn, the writer and director of the new Superman movies, having to defend himself from a wave of right-wing backlash after saying that Superman's story is an immigrant story. You know, I should explain that the whole thing, it started over the weekend when the Times of London published an interview with Gunn where he said, quote, Superman is the story of America, an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country, but for me it is mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value and is something we have lost.
So for those who don't know, I'm a DC guy. Even though I mainly make bad girl and urban fantasy comics, I still love superheroes. DC, love them. DC Trinity, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Those are my guys, okay? That's my clique. Now, this is not to say I don't like Marvel, but DC, I love DC, all right? So back in the day, Superman was my guy. He was my favorite. I'd probably say nowadays I'm more of a basic bitch, so Batman is the I remember back in the day I used to crack on my friend because he was so into Batman, and now I'm a big Batman guy. But at the end of the day, the anger at Superman is because Superman is Superman. Now, the two portrayals of Superman that we normally get is immigrant and Jesus/Moses. That's Superman. All right. And now if people disagree with me, there's Jesus allegories in both Man of Steel as well as in Batman v Superman. And of course, he rises from the dead in Justice League. It's so pervasive. There's a video right here on YouTube called Stop Making Superman Jesus. Because generally, at least how he's presented today, he's alien Jesus. But more so, he's Moses. If you know the origin of Superman, you know Superman is created by two Jewish guys, Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster. They did have immigrant parents. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that they're leaning more into a Moses thing than a Jesus thing for obvious reasons. But either way, you're going to get the baby savior thing. And there really is some religious allegory going on here. The actual name, Kal-El, means star child in Kryptonian. But in the real world, in Hebrew, Kal-El means the light of God or the voice of God. And I know that's a real thing. You can research that. I know I'm going to get flack for knowing things. I might get accused of being one of those people who sit around all day learning stuff. But if you go back to the story of Moses in the Old Testament, which, all MAGA people are supposed to be big Bible people, so they're supposed to know this stuff. Moses was indeed an immigrant. Remember, Moses was not Egyptian. He was a Hebrew. His mother put him in a basket and placed him in the Nile River. But he was found by the Pharaoh's daughter and raised as a member of their family. And if you know that story, he becomes the savior of the Hebrew people, leading them out of Egypt. Nowadays, Superman's more of a Jesus allegory. So you get the baby savior, and it plays a little bit better because instead of just saving one group of people, he's saving the world. Now, for years, we've all been cool with the baby savior Superman who's saving the world, and he's kind, and he's the big blue Boy Scout. And that's the one thing I had against the Snyder Supermans, that he was Dark Superman. I didn't want Dark Superman. I wanted Superman. And Batman is the dark guy. Superman is the light guy. So that's your yin and your yang, right? They're both fighting for justice, but in different ways. But I think what's happening right now is MAGA are starting to acknowledge, oh shit, we're the bad guys. Because all these things that everyone, including a lot of MAGA people, have acknowledged for years as good, suddenly within the past few years, they've become woke. And they're they're anti-American somehow. And let's be real. Superman used to say truth, justice, and the American way. And I would love for them to bring that back, because I understand when they say truth, justice, in the American way, they mean the idealistic American way, the things America claims it believes in, just like Captain America. I love Captain America, but he's based on the American idea. But how can you say truth, justice, and the American way when the very president doesn't believe in truth, justice, and the American way? He hates the things that America says it's for. So how can you do that? How can you say the American way when America hates the American way? The leader of the country doesn't understand whether we should have due process. The leader of the country doesn't like the very Constitution because it gives rights to people he doesn't like. And let's be real, every moron with extreme views feels the same way. The Constitution should only apply to them, particularly the parts about freedom of speech. That's the, because only my group should be able to speak. But here's the thing, this isn't new. If you look at John De La Rosa's channel, John De La Rose is a Comicsgate guy, and one of the kind of new school Comicsgate people who really want Comicsgate to be more of a political power to go against woke comics. In actuality, he just wants to sell his book. He's actually made a video about the woke Superman, but he can't really tell you what's woke about it.
The Superman movie was always going to be dead on arrival. It's James Gunn. Guys, come on.
Right, because James Gunn has never done any movies that people liked. I mean, he's never done anything that's made almost $1 billion. Nothing. Oh, wait, what's this anticipated movie over here? Yeah, the first most anticipated movie.
Are you serious? Are we really going to go through this iteration of DC movies once again? And sure enough, they're doing the thing like where it's like the incel white man's the problem, and this is going to be the whole plot of the movie. Like, why?
Real quick, I ain't a bitch about mine. Link will be in the description, so you can't say Nathan's taking that out of context. We don't do that here. Link is in the description. You can go right to the video, see what he's saying. Now, understand something about JDA. He's not above just making shit up or misconstruing something someone said. In my opinion, it's part of his grift, and I'll say it's a good grift. I mean, the dude's doing well. He's doing better than me, so grift is working.
They're going to ruin the character of Lex Luthor in order to make their points about those toxic fanboys online who are just incels.
And this is something I feel is kind of important. Notice his sympathy for the villain. This sympathy for the devil, if you will. Lex Luthor has always been a stand-in for corporate greed and that kind of thing. Things that we've always seen as bad. Even somebody like me who's an avowed capitalist, corporate greed is pretty destructive on all levels, especially when you're making billions of dollars and you would still be making those billions without the extra added greed because your product is something that people actually want. If you have $10 billion versus $100 billion, the way you live probably isn't going to be that different because once you start getting into billions, you're essentially running on a cheat code at that point. But if you're familiar with DC, you understand Lex Luthor is generally used for whatever the bad thing is at the moment. And that's a common thing, corporate greed being the big one. And yes, this movie is a little bit on the nose about Lex Luthor's motivations. Judging from what I saw in the trailer, Lex Luthor is being Lex Luthor. So either JDA doesn't know as much as he pretends to know about Superman, making him a fake fangirl, or possibly he's just really bad at reading comprehension. He's read all these Superman and superhero books and he just never got how bad Lex Luthor actually was as a person. Or possibly he's just making this shit up. He's just saying what his audience wants to hear. And I guess that's the grift. I'm starting to question, maybe Hassan Piker is the real capitalist and I'm the socialist. Maybe that's what's going on because people like him and JDA and, all these people, they'll say exactly what they need to say to make that money. My broke ass out here trying to put out, well, this is what's actually going on. That ain't making no money. Now I know how Sneeko felt.
James Gunn's upcoming Superman films sees the character become the target of a social media harassment campaign. Oh, no. Just like Marie Tran and The Last Jedi, she was a victim. Just like the lady from The Acolyte, she was a victim. Yes, this is all Hollywood. I guess Hollywood's writing what they know.
That's probably indeed what would happen to Superman in today's society. Remember, people got mad at Moist Critical because he was giving his own money to people. And yeah, People started a social media hate campaign against him for it. The biggest problem with people is a lot of us are dumb. When Mr. Beast first started getting into trouble, it wasn't because he was doing anything bad. It was because he was a guy with a lot of money and he was helping people. And yeah, he was making money off of that, but at the same time, that money was going back into helping people. That's not putting Mr. Beast on the level of Superman, but let's also acknowledge if you do too much good, people will start getting angry at you, even when they pretend that's what they want to see people with a lot of money do. Because people don't really want you to do good, they want your money. Because when people generally bitch about stuff like that, that's what they're really upset about. It's like you see someone doing good, you see them, they have a lot of money, they're living a great life. Same is true with PewDiePie or any of the people who got to a big status. Even if they've done it through hard work, it's still, well, I should have that money for me doing nothing.
They, of course, added in Mr. Terrific as a black character to form their little diverse team here because they can't have it be about Superman, the white guy, right? That's a no-no in Hollywood.
They're so mad at us. What the fuck did we do? We didn't ask. Black folks didn't ask to be in this movie. No one's even talking about him. The excitement's for Guy Gardner. He's usurping Superman. Another white guy.
Turn them black.
We live in a country that is a capitalist country, and they set these movies up to expand into other movies. And they do that with everything. Remember Black Adam? The Rock is black and Samoan. And they did the same thing with his movie. Do you see people going, well, it couldn't be about the black guy. It couldn't just be about the Samoan guy. No, they're setting it up to expand. If Superman blows up, we'll probably get a DCU Batman. And that will lead to a DCU Justice League if you're not catching the Justice Team jokes, which you catch if you're an actual fan of this stuff. So I'm assuming that this is all happening in kind of like a pre-Justice League universe. And this weird obsession that these movies be just white when so many people of color, including myself and others, love comics. They genuinely fear people of color and LGBTQ people being involved in any of this stuff. For them, that alone is woke. That's why they're so mad at your boy Zach right now. He's not taking part in the grift. If you listen to his videos, Zach never really changed. He was never against something just because it had blacks and minorities in it. But it's interesting to watch MAGA people realize characters like Captain America, Superman, these characters don't align with your values. They never did. And Truth, Justice, and the American Way was never about MAGA's idea of America. You guys take it easy. Nathan Brandon Masters. All links are in the description.
Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn.